Welcome to another edition of Q&A with Ari Blue here on Facebook Live, here on the Sports Fan Base Network's Facebook page. I'm your host, Ari Bluestein. Thank you very much for joining us here on this Wednesday night. And this is our second show this week. We just came off of our second episode of In the Circle, the only high school softball talk show for the Philadelphia area on Facebook or anywhere right now. So make sure you tune in on Monday nights. Myself and Dave Ciccoletti, who's my co-host, the head coach for Neshaminy Softball. We had a great episode on Monday night, so you can check out the replay right here on Facebook Live or on our YouTube channel as well. But let's get to the task at hand today. Q&A with myself, Ari Bluestein. Ask any question that you would like. It could be spring sport related. It can be football, basketball, whatever you would like. Feel free to send in your question. Use the hashtag AskAriBlue. You can use it right here on Facebook Live or on Twitter at @the_SFBN. So let's get to our first question. We got a few baseball questions that have rolled in today. The first one comes in from Sean T. In your opinion, who is the best baseball team in the PCL at this point in the season? All right, well, thank you very much for your question, Sean. PCL, of course, is the Philadelphia Catholic League, for those of you who don't know. I would say it's Archbishop Wood right now. You take a look at the Vikings, and we talked a lot about the Archbishop Wood softball team on In the Circle on Monday. The baseball team is pretty good, too. They lost the opener to Father Judge on April 3rd in league play, but they haven't lost since then. Won a big 3-1 game in 8 innings against Archbishop Bryan, and then won Monday against a tough Cardinal O'Hara team 4-3. Jake Collier, who is actually the quarterback on the Archbishop Wood football team, the state champion Archbishop Wood Vikings, only a sophomore. He is just dealing right now on the mound for the Vikings. He threw a 4-hitter on Monday against O'Hara. He almost had a no-hitter against Archbishop Carroll earlier this year. Pitched very well in that game against Ryan. So I would say it's Archbishop Wood, but it's a league that's wide open. You take a look at the standings. 8 teams are over 500 according to Ted Solari's website. Father Judge, LaSalle, St. Joe's Prep, Roman, we mentioned Ryan, Carroll, also Newman Goretti, can't forget about them, in addition to Archbishop Wood, and Cardinal O'Hara, they're 3-4 in league play. So this league is wide open. The competition is fierce. But, Sean, to answer your question, I would say Archbishop Wood, the leader in the clubhouse right now. So thank you again for submitting that question. We had another question come in. This one came in from Jerry S. This is referring to the Interac League. Is Penn Charter the team to beat in the Interac after their 1-0 win over Malvern Prep on Friday? Great question. Thank you very much, Jerry. Right now, I would say yes. And the main reason why is because of Joey Lancelotti. He's a guy that we talked a lot about last year on Varsity Voice. He was at Archbishop Wood. He ran out of PIAA eligibility, so he transferred back to Penn Charter, which is actually where he started his high school career before playing a couple of years over at Archbishop Wood. So he's back at Penn Charter, and he is just dominating right now. You mentioned 1-0 win over Malvern Prep. Malvern Prep, of course, one of the top teams in the entire area, and not just in the Interac. 12 strikeouts, and he gave up only 5 hits in that game against Malvern Prep. So Lancelotti, probably the best pitcher in Philadelphia out of the Public League, Catholic League, and Interac League. He is just really playing phenomenal right now. He's going to North Carolina next year. Not too shabby. So I would say Penn Charter is the favorite. But again, it's another league that's very competitive. Malvern could certainly still win it. SEH Academy, they've improved this year. In fact, they're the only team that has beaten Penn Charter so far. And then, of course, Episcopal Academy is not bad either. So you have really those 4 teams out of the 6 teams in the Interac could all potentially win this thing when it's said and done. So, but again, I think Penn Charter is the team to beat with Joey Lancelotti on the mound. So thank you very much for that question, Jerry. And a reminder, you can get into the action right here on Ask Q&A with Ari Blue. Hashtag AskAriBlue is your hashtag. Use it here on Facebook Live. You can use it on Twitter as well. And it looks like we have a question that came in right here on Facebook Live. Are we going to go to this question right here? No, we're going to go to another question before that. But thank you for submitting that question. This was a question that was submitted before the show. This comes in from Mike C. Okay. How about some love for the pub? Who is the front runner this year? Great question. And I think our question that's going to come in next is also about the public league. So I'm glad we're talking some public league baseball right here. Who's the front runner? So thank you again for the question, Mike. Well, Alney is the defending champion. So you have to start there. They're 3-2 so far this year. Swenson's kind of the surprise team. Right now they're 2-4. But they might have the best pitcher in the league with Alex Bautista. He no-hit Washington and won a tough 3-2 game against Northeast in which he had 12 strikeouts. Nueva Esperanza, they're 3-2. They're in the mix. The real surprise team, and this might be the front runner to answer your question, Mike, is Science Leadership Academy. SLA is 6-0. And according to some sources, they have 2 pitchers that throw close to 80. And in the Philadelphia Public League, that is some serious gas. So if SLA has 2 pitchers like that, like what we're seeing, and based on their record at 6-0, that probably makes sense. They are probably the team to beat right now. But you have Franklin Town Charter. You have Frankfurt, who's also undefeated at 4-0. Central's 5-1. Count out Northeast. They were a semifinalist last year. They're 2-3 to start the year, kind of in a rebuild mode. SLA the favorite, but wide open again here in the Philadelphia Public League. So thank you very much for that question, Mike C. And remember, you're watching Q&A with Ari Blue here on Facebook Live. You can go to our website for any information that has to do with high school sports, www.thesfbn.com. You can check out past episodes of Varsity Voice. We wrapped up our season on the Comcast Network, our 3rd season. And you could also check out our past broadcasts and also all of our fresh content. In fact, we have a new story up about the City All-Star football game, which we're going to broadcast on May 20th. And we have a great article, some great quotes, a lot of pictures from Picture Day that took place this past Saturday from our great photographer, Wave Lane. Make sure you check out that article, a great piece written by our own Frankie Stokes. We're going to get to our question that was submitted on Facebook. This comes from Brian. His question is the Philadelphia Public League providing top future athletes still, or are divisions outside Philly producing better talent? Great question. Very dynamic. Thank you very much, Brian, for submitting that question. I'm assuming that we're talking about across the board, sports across the board in the Philadelphia Public League. If you take a look at football and basketball, I think that the Public League is producing a lot of really good players. It's top heavy because you look at the charter schools, like, for example, Imhotep Charter, they produce a lot of the top football and basketball players that will play high-level college football. In fact, some of the Imhotep football players are going to play in that City All-Star football game that I just mentioned. In terms of some of the other sports, maybe like baseball or softball or lacrosse, not as much. You're looking at mainly football and basketball players that the Philadelphia Public League is producing right now. You'll get the occasional other sport, like baseball, softball, lacrosse. You take a look at some of the other fall sports like soccer, but for the most part, in fact, actually, boys and girls soccer, you get a little bit. You get some good players coming out of there for the Public League. But football and basketball, yes, you are still getting some good athletes. Not as much as the Philadelphia Catholic League or suburban or private schools, but you are still getting some talent, especially in football and basketball. So thank you very much for submitting that question, Brian. We had a question that came in. We talked a lot about baseball. We just had a great general question about the Philadelphia Public League. This question, it's a lacrosse question, actually. This is from Doug F. Who will win the Malvern-Haverford lacrosse game tomorrow? This is, of course, boys lacrosse. Thank you for submitting the question, first off, Doug. This game's going to be tomorrow at Malvern Prep. Malvern lost to Haverford School 15-11 back on April 7th in their first matchup. And Malvern had won 5 straight after that, but they just lost to Episcopal Academy yesterday, 9-8. And if that's not a bad loss. EA is a pretty good team. In fact, right now they're tied for first place with the Haverford School in the Interac. Haverford School only has one loss, and that was to Penn Charter, which was kind of a shocker. To get to the answer to your question, Doug, I think the Haverford School is the favorite in this game. I take a look at them. They beat Malvern Prep already, 15-11. Even though this game, is going to be at Malvern. That last game was at Haverford. Haverford School, even though they've hit a couple of speed bumps this year, they're still the only team to have beaten national powerhouse Culver Academy out of Indiana. We talked about that a couple of episodes ago here on Q&A with Ari Blue. So I would say certainly Haverford School is the favorite, and they're one of the best teams in the country. Malvern Prep, EA, still solid teams from the Interact, but I think Haverford School wins this game. So thank you very much, Doug, for submitting that question. And a reminder that you can get into the action here. Use the hashtag AskAriBlue, either right here on Facebook or on our Twitter at @_SFBN. And also you can check out everything SFBN at our website, www.thesfbn.com. And we have all our past Varsity Voice episodes, all our past broadcasts, our great fresh content, including, I just mentioned, great article by Frankie Stokes about the City football, great pictures by our own Wave Lane. So a lot of great stuff. Make sure you check out our website. It doesn't look like there's going to be any other questions submitted. If you get your question in, after we end this program, or if you want to submit it later tonight or even later this week, we will get to it on our next episode of Q&A with Ari Blue, which will be next Wednesday right here on Facebook Live. So I want to thank everyone for submitting questions. You had Sean, Jerry, Mike, and Doug. And then also you had Brian that submitted right here on Facebook Live. So thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. And we'll see you next Wednesday for more Q&A with Ari Blue. Have a good night.